everyone. Welcome to Just Love Inspires TV. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We hope that you'll take a moment to subscribe to the channel and also click on the notification bell, because that will tell you when a new episode has been posted. And also, if you like the video, you can like it, and you can also share it if you think it's going to help anybody. So today, my guests are Francis and John Shepherd. And hello. And we're going to be talking about a really important topic today, which is about marriage and relationships. And they're going to share some of their experiences and expertise. But before we get started with that, guys, I'm going to have you just share a little bit about your background and some of the coaching and things you're doing right now.
Okay. Well, first of all, we just want to say it's a privilege and a pleasure to be here with you today. We've known you for many years and we love you like a daughter.
Absolutely.
So yes, and we're excited that you're doing this, because this is going to help a lot of people. Yes. So thank you very much for answering the call of God in your life.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, we just wanted to you introduced us, and we want to tell you a little bit about what we're doing. And we are between Sundays life coaching, and our focus is marital and premaritals, couples as well as singles, those that are seeking to be married, cohabiting couples, those that are just trying to figure out where they want to be. And also for marriage enrichment, those that are married, they just want a marriage checkup, or they just want to get past some of the challenges in marriage so that they can enjoy the relationship that they have with each other.
Oh, I love that.
So that's kind of it. On the other side of that, we're also doing leadership coaching. So it's been a privilege to walk alongside some leaders as they are learning to unmask. And when I say unmask, and that is when they're learning to be their full selves, because often leaders can live under the expectations of others and they are not living up to the full call or expectation that God has for them. Yeah. And so they're just getting free of that and living free lives. So that has also been a privilege of ours and a pleasure.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think we should probably do another episode just talking about that, because I think that in itself is an important topic and that a lot of people struggle with, even in secular circles, with being in corporations and businesses and things where they feel like they can't be themselves, especially in this day and age. And so, yeah, let's maybe have you guys back to crack that wide open too, because that would be amazing.
Absolutely.
So today we're talking about relationships, and I would love to just get a little bit of, just so everyone kind of knows a little bit of your own story, your own love story, and how that began. If you want to share a little bit about that with us.
Okay.
You can start that one and I can comment.
All right. Well, let's start it. I was 9 and John was 12, and we lived in the same neighborhood. And I remember very distinctly walking out of the school, off the playground, and seeing this tall boy standing there and all the kids around him asking him questions because he was the new kid in school. And I tell you, I looked over, I didn't know his name, but I was like, I'm going to marry him. And I know it sounds weird, but I did. And
sounded like early stalking, but that's okay. We won't get into that. That's another thing.
But, and it wasn't for many years. Of course, I knew him and we were neighbors, but, and I'm such a tomboy, so I played all the boy sports and he did too. So, I kind of can see him then. But it wasn't until high school that, I saw him in the hallway and I was like, oh, hi, John Shepherd, walk me to my locker.
And I was shocked nonetheless, because she's a very shy person. So I kept walking her, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. Here we are 43 years later.
Yeah. And you guys, if I remember, you got married pretty young, right?
We did. Yes, we did. We were 18 and 19.
Okay. Yeah. So that's been a long road. I mean, literally, if anyone's an expert on longevity in marriage, I mean, you guys would be the experts, because, I mean, look, not every relationship that lasts that long has quality, but just from what I've observed being a part of your lives over the years and stuff, you have such a joy and a desire to promote the best in each other and to love each other, even through the tougher seasons and just the things that you've been through. And so from my perspective, that's just been so beautiful to watch. So I just wanted to say that. And
Thank you.
I know, yeah. And that's why I wanted to chat with you guys today, because I know that you have this coaching that you're doing now for relationships and marriage, premarital, all of that. But even just the wealth of the life experience is not to be ignored, because I think you can't really preach unless unless you've lived it to some degree. And I know you two have lived it. So
yes.
I just wanted to say that too. So kind of diving into when people are thinking about getting married, what role do you feel premarital counseling has in that journey? Because I feel like it's not as common as it really should be, because it is such a valuable tool. So what role do you see it playing in before people get married?
Mm-hmm. Well, I thank you for saying what you said about our relationship, because we're very transparent. And the tagline for the business of being a certified life coach is, and the name of it is Between Sundays. It's because, and I want to put it in preference here, is because you've got Sunday morning, we put on our best faces and we go out and, we go to church or we're around family or whatever we're going to do. But then Monday morning becomes real life. Mm-hmm. And we have to look in the mirror and we have to look at our spouses and we have to look at ourselves and we have to say, okay, where are we going with this? What's going to happen, through the day, through the week? So Between Sundays is very important. And so with Between Sundays, the tagline is hot and is staying humble, open, and transparent. Yeah. And when you said that, of course, we have longevity, not without challenges, not without bumps in the road, not without hurdles. Mm-hmm. And so we can take those experiences and we feel that, God uses everything. He doesn't waste anything. Yeah. And so with those experiences, then we can come alongside others, the younger people or the people that may be our age and they have not mastered or they haven't used the tools in order to be free and have a fulfilling relationship. So we can come walk alongside them and kind of help them through those hurdles. And so that's what we're about. Yeah.
And the thing of it is just letting people know too that real life happens and it happens to the best of us, but that doesn't mean we have to be defeated by it. Mm-hmm. They're giants, but giants can be whipped.
Yeah.
And we like whipping the giants. So,
that's right.
So yes, but it's just about real life. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think the authenticity is really what's most important, and creating a safe space for people to be authentic.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we want to project out to the world something different, as you mentioned, like on Sundays, for example, we want to project something out into the world that's maybe not even the reality of really what's happening in our internal world. So I think that that's really important, to have that safe space to be authentic and to just kind of break things down and be like, okay, what's really going on?
Absolutely. Yes. And with premarital coaching and marriage enrichment, it is providing tools for the couples so they can get through those hurdles and those challenging times that we all have. Yeah. And learning each other, because we're constantly growing.
Yes.
We're constantly growing and we're constantly changing.
And we are definitely not the same 19-year-old and 18-year-old, people that when we first got married and things like that. So a lot of times, even with growth, spiritual growth, you're still changing and you still have to learn each other. You still have to adjust. Mm-hmm. And so we have to, it's this continuation of investment.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And all the seasons of life too, because, you have kids and then the kids are young and then they're grade school, high school. Then you become empty nesters. Maybe the kids move back in. Maybe, there's all these
of that.
Cycles, all these different seasons and things change and pressures of life change. And so you have to navigate all of that. So having said that, then what would you say is one of the most important things that you address, knowing the pressures of life that come, especially when you're married, that you say to some of the people that you do premarital counseling with? Because, I mean, they got to know what they're getting into, right? So.
Oh, absolutely. And to start with, with the premarital coaching, the conflict resolution has to be number one.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, that comes with premaritals.
Yeah.
Those are contemplating marriage, as well as those that have been married, even for a while. It's the conflict resolution. And it's, how do I get along with this person? We don't speak the same language. We're totally different.
And I can say, and I always talk about this, it says, we know we love each other, but do we like each other?
That's
the point.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. And it could be like, I like you today, but I don't know about tomorrow yet.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And there's different personalities, as well as, the love languages we're really big at. And I know that's kind of old school, people talk about love languages, but it's very important when it comes to your relationship, how you respond, how you receive, and how you give love to each other.
Yes.
So conflict resolution, Jessica, to answer your question, is probably the number one challenge and question that we get from couples.
So when someone's going to you for coaching, prior to being married, you're already talking about, okay, when a conflict arises or the pressures in life arise, let's talk through some of the ways that you can approach it here on the front end versus, because I think a lot of times, people, and this is true with almost anything in life, but I think particularly in marriage and probably within parenting too, people will respond to life based on their base instincts or whatever patterns they have learned from their own family of origin. Exactly. So how do you address that in premarital coaching? What are some of the common things you say for people to expect when they get married?
Well, first of all, there's an assessment tool that we use.
Okay. And
so we send that to each, the couple, the husband and the to be. And we also use it with marriage enrichment too. It's the same type of tool.
Okay.
It's designed differently. But there's a tool, and it's an assessment. They go in and they complete the assessment individually. So, and there's questions, and the questions are designed to approach those different challenges, whether it's, your family origin, culture, expectation, because that's number two. We always get, with unmet expectation. He may be expecting something from the marriage that she is not expecting or was willing to give, vice versa. So that's number two. So it's a lot of different dynamics that is in the assessment. So when they come together, then what our part of it is that we go over the assessment with them, and you would be surprised at some of the answers and some breakthroughs that come through that they've never thought of. As simple as, when do you want to have kids, or if you want to have children?
How many?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Or how many, that they've never really talked about. And once that has been addressed, they're like, oh, I never considered it. So a lot of things that we have not considered that will come up through the assessment. And then for those that are married and maybe have been married a while, maybe they're getting along well, they just want a checkup, or those that have challenges and they just want to enrich her. So we're doing the assessment with them as well. And, so there are some tools that come up that they can use so they can be,
And the thing that I see that's really important about this whole process is that a lot of times you can have these general ideas about what you think and whatever, but it just narrows the thing. It just narrows down. It focuses on those differences and things of that nature. Because a lot of times you have, like you said about kids, we want kids. Yeah, we love each other. Yeah, we like that. But then when you start asking, well, when do you plan on having kids? Well, how many kids are you talking?
Getting
things like that. But you can get down to those and look at those things ahead of time.
Some of the other ones are blended families, families that are contemplating maybe adoption or foster care, just kind of providing them with some foundations so that they can start that and be successful in their endeavors in those areas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so great. And I'm sure you guys get into the other things like sex.
Yes.
Money.
Yes, financial is huge as well.
Yes.
How do you handle your own family of origins? Like, how are we going to interact as a couple within the context of two families? Because that's another aspect of, and sometimes can create unique challenges, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's how you were raised.
Yeah.
You know, the one may have been raised in a family where they, you know, the discipline was one of the key factors in their family, the way that their parents disciplined them. And they're like, well, we're not going to use that type of discipline with our children. And, you know, or how their parents related to each other. Or, you know, often there are single parent homes and maybe the potential spouse had two parents. I mean, there's such a dynamic, myriad of things coming together, and is navigating through those so that you can start a healthy foundation, or that you can strengthen the relationship that you already have.
What is perhaps something that a couple has shared with you, whether it's been premarital? Okay, let's start with this. What's something that a couple who's done the premarital coaching has shared with you that maybe you were surprised at? Has there been anything?
Yes.
Okay.
There've been quite a few. I'll say one of the things that I will say because of I don't know our audience, but I had mentioned about the children. You know, we've had couples very often will say, well, I wanted to have children right away. Oh, well, I wasn't thinking about having that. You know, maybe we're going to wait for 4 or 5 years or something like that. And they're like, I'm not willing to wait. I mean, so that also the assertiveness of one of the couples, like, you know, often it is, well, I won't even say that because it could be balanced, but it could be the male maybe, or the female can be assertive in their conversation toward each other. The other one could be a little more timid, a little more relaxed in their verbal approach. And so they're feeling like, well, I can't say anything because they override me, or, you know, I'm intimidated by the conversation, or their assertiveness of the way that they are handling our situations. And so that's huge, you know, when they're not willing to assert themselves and not willing to explain themselves or talk it out because they feel intimidated.
And the other thing about that is pointing out to them that that person that's assertive, helping them understand that you have to make sure there's a safe place where that person can come and speak up. Without any type of retaliation, without any negativity, things like that. Well, when they know that it's safe, then they have more of a tendency just to go ahead and speak up because they feel like comfortable and protected.
There's a song, and we love old school jazz, smooth jazz. You know, we like to go to concerts like that. And then there's an artist, Will Downing.
Okay. Yeah.
And he has a song that's called "Don't Talk to Me That Way." I think that's the name of it. And I always think of this tool that we use when I hear that song, because he's saying, you know, she's talking to him, and she, you know, and he's like, okay, I'm retreating right now. He's like, I'm done. I can't say anymore. Don't you talk to me that way. And it reminds me of that tool that we use with our couples. That one may be more assertive than the other and can use it as a weapon.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it is a balance, you know, and I know I've learned through my own marriage relationships, I'm a pretty strong-willed person, and I'm pretty vocal, and that's just who I am. That's how God made me. My husband's a little bit more relaxed and phlegmatic, laid back and stuff. And so over the years, a couple of things had to happen. One was me realizing I needed to make more space for him to come to me with things, not that he couldn't ever, it's just that when someone's a little bit more laid back, maybe they're not going to be as vocal about stuff. So it's always like, if you're the more assertive person in the relationship, you have to be like, come on, you can share with me, let's have communication, because you don't want to ever steamroll somebody,
Absolutely.
Right.
You don't want to feel like it's just, my way or the highway, right? Wouldn't you agree? It has to be,
yes.
There's an art to compromise and learning how to have a sit down and mutually discuss things where each opinion matters. It's not just, well, I know better than you, so this is what we're doing.
And it's mutual respect.
Yes.
Mutual respect. Yeah.
Mutual respect in a marriage, in a relationship. And that crosses the line with any relationship. There's mutual respect. So as we're discussing, we may have a difference of opinion, but I respect him. He respects me, so that we can go forward, and sometimes we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But there's respect and knowing that he respects me, so that I know that what he's saying is not to torment me or to demean me in any way. He's voicing his opinion, and I can do the same.
Yeah.
And the other thing is too, when it comes down to, your gifts and abilities, we're not opposites or anything like that. I mean, our gifts and abilities, it never should be a threat to one another. Our gifts should never be a threat. We are who we are. We have what we have. We're supposed to come together and utilize those gifts for our betterment. So, it's just a matter of that. It's not a competition. That's a big thing. It's not a competition.
Yeah. And iron sharpens iron. And you have, when you come together, I think, and you guys would probably agree with this too, is like, in a lot of relationships, this is the general fantasy. Like, I'll get married because I've fallen in love, or sometimes I've fallen in lust and I don't realize that it's love, not love.
Yes.
But you might have, and I think this goes back to expectations. It's like, you might not even realize why you're choosing the partner you're choosing in the first place. Because, I did premarital counseling so many years ago with somebody that I had a long relationship with, and we were thinking about getting engaged. And, the person that was facilitating the sessions was like, said to me privately, I think you need to look at the fact that this person is controlling. And maybe you're not seeing that because you see yourself as a strong person, but you don't realize that that's something that's going on. And so having that third party person saying that to you and having an objective rather than subjective view of what's going on, because sometimes you can't see it if you're in it, right?
Absolutely.
And then your motivations get tested of like, is it just because I want to be married? Is it just because I just want to have a family? That's my main priority, and any John Doe will do, kind of thing.
Yes.
We have fantasies, especially as women, I think, and right, where it's like, I'm going to fall in love, and then I'm going to have a family, and my life is going to be like this, and or I have these goals or whatever, and we're going to go do this. And then real life intersects with your fantasy.
That is so true. That is so true. We have those expectations ourselves, and also some of those expectations are put on us by parents, friends, and our religious beliefs. So, we may, go into this relationship thinking, the church says that we need, or using the scripture out of context, you that married, it's better to marry than to burn. So, you're like, we need to get married,
Versus needing somebody to come alongside just to help us to see the facts.
Absolutely.
One of the things I thought about when you were explaining things is that how you don't see things. When that phrase that love is blind, you do get blinded by things. And you don't see a lot of the things, and it takes someone else from the outside with an objective that's more objective than you are to just say, this is what I'm kind of seeing, and I see this. And you need that. We
Yeah.
need someone to come alongside to
Well,
help.
one of the tools, one of the language that we use with the tools and the assessment is rose-colored glasses. That's one of the phrases that we use. And a lot of young, especially the young couples, you know, they're looking or viewing through rose-colored glasses,
Yeah.
you know, and coming alongside them, using these tools, going through the assessment and sitting with the couples helps them to see better. You know, like you said, there's a third party that comes along and points it out. You know, we don't tell them what to do. We point it out. We walk alongside them and they see it themselves, and then they're able to make the adjustments.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's so great. And again, you know, having that safe space to be able to kind of flesh out all of those things too, because it can be intimidating to, you know, be in a church environment and try to navigate with that too, just being in a larger group of people, you know, having that one-on-one connection, being coached, I think is where more intimacy can take place, you know, in your conversations, and you can, the mask can come off, the walls can come down. You know, it's not like you're sitting in, there's nothing wrong with groups, of course, but sometimes when you're in a group setting, you're not going to want to just spill your guts out, you know? So classes are great. It kind of is what I'm getting at. Classes are great to take, but I do feel like there's so much value in the one-on-one coaching because of that. Some people don't, you know, necessarily want people in their business like that. But I think there's so much humility that takes place with saying, you know, I don't have all of the answers, and I'm going to go get an outside perspective looking in to help me see what I cannot see for myself.
It's true.
So so I think that's so valuable.
It's true.
And so I think at the end of the day, we need each other.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
And we need to, love is not always enough. And I know that that's not a popular thing to say because of the romantic love thing that we're sold, kind of what I was alluding to earlier, but love ain't enough sometimes.
That's it.
You know, besides love, what are the things that you say people need to have a successful relationship?
The foundations. The foundation, I think we need to go back to foundation, and we need to assess, what does love mean to you? How do you feel love? What is love to you? And then start with those foundations, because love is different to everybody, you know. You know, and it goes back to the love languages, you know, the expressions, because for instance, for me, it used to be acts of service, because I'm a task-oriented person. So I need to be doing something all the time, you know, and if he does something for me, makes my coffee in the mornings, which he has done for many, many, many years, and just different things that I feel, oh, he loves me, or, you know, or he packs my bag for me, gets my lunch ready, or whatever I'm gonna need for the day. And I feel, you know, loved that way. And, you know, and his is spending time with him. You know, if I'm sitting with him or just spending time with him, then he feels love that way. So people view love differently. And Jessica, we have to point out, and we can't dismiss the fact that there's so much trauma in our day-to-day lives. That some people deal with trauma as being, maybe they were abused, or you know, sexually abused, verbally, whatever the abuse was. So there's trauma, and so they're carrying this trauma, and they're going into a relationship, or they are in a relationship, but they have not dealt with this trauma, and so is hindering other aspects of their relationship. So when we're sitting with a couple and we're having the conversations and we're talking about things, often that will come out. And then it's like, oh, that's why, you know, I'm reluctant to have sex with my partner, with my husband or my wife, because I'm still dealing with this trauma. You know, I was abused, or, you know, so there's so much of that. And you know, and he's feeling maybe like, this is showing me love when you provide this act in our marriage. And she's like, but I don't feel love that way because I feel hurt and I feel ashamed and I feel, so love has very many, how you view love. Yeah.
And
dealing with that.
and by being able to go into those things and exposing those things and people getting proper help and assistance with those things, then that's when you can allow the full expression of who you really are.
Yes.
The full expression of all that you need one for another to take place. So,
and healing begins.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's, again, where the space for just intimacy and authenticity, what I mean is emotional intimacy and authenticity, is so important, because we do need safe spaces to be able to talk those things through. And I think you said it well. I don't think it can ever be underestimated, what we carry with us from our own childhood, our own life experiences. There come expectations, but there also come a lot of wounds, which create hurdles to overcome in the way we communicate and interact and stuff. And so I'm a firm believer that you gotta start dealing with that stuff before you're going to get married. Don't even think about walking down the aisle, if you can help it, before addressing those things. And it starts with you as an individual person. It's not even just about,
absolutely,
your partner. It starts with you. And once you deal with you, then you can learn how to be you, in the relationship.
Yes. And that's part of what we do as well is, I mentioned earlier, for singles, those may be saying, I would love to have a relationship at some point in my life, and I just need to work on me. And so the tools that we use and the assessments and the conversations really help to bring out, some of those areas where they can be a healthier person, so that when they are ready, when they do find that person, that potential spouse, that they can go in it healthier.
Yeah. I think that's the key right there. And again, that's why what you guys are doing, I think, has so much value. And I mean, I highly recommend it. I think everybody can go through some type of coaching, or even if you're, like you said, you're at a midway point or whatever in your marriage relationship, it's never too late to just take a step back and reassess. And, because everything has seasons and there's different complications that arise. And you're not, contrary to popular opinion, you're not going to figure everything out yourself.
Absolutely.
You're going to have some, there's wisdom in the counsel of many, right? So
yes, there is.
Yeah.
Completely agree with that.
Yes.
Well, my last question for you guys is, what is your message then to couples who might be struggling? And this could be on the front end before they get married, or even if they're struggling while they're married. What is the message that you want to give to those people?
I think the message would be to, first of all, if you really want a desired end, you have to first of all look at, what is it going to take for me to get to that desired end? Then once you realize what it takes, are you willing to do that? And then, because you got to put in the work. And so if you're willing to take a look at it and have an honest assessment, look at the work that's needed and say, hey, I'm ready to get to work. Let me put on my hard hat and my work boots, and it's time to get going. You cannot miss without, by making that investment. It's the best investment that you can possibly make.
Absolutely. That's it.
That's so great. Yeah. And even better if you can do it on the front end.
Absolutely.
That's even better.
That's even better.
That's even better.
Even better.
But there's hope, though, still, obviously, for people who are already married and in their relationship.
Absolutely, because in a perfect world, we would want everybody to start out and getting a strong foundation before they get married. We want them to start out with getting, learning the tools and having those healthy expectations. But that's in a perfect world. And we know we don't live in a perfect world. So, we have, I would say, all of us who are married, that we come into challenges in our relationships that, is hard to manage or hard to navigate. And we do need someone else. We do. And it's not a shameful thing.
No,
I think that's one thing that we tell people.
That's so great. Yeah.
It's not a shame. Don't be ashamed that you need that you want to come someone to walk alongside with you. It's
Yeah.
okay. I applaud you for it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the thing of it is to keep in mind is that it's not a shameful thing to admit that you're not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it is, bottom line. None of us are. We all need work. Your cars, every now and then, you can start out new, everything is great, but you need maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
You need things to be fixed, things break down. But you don't just leave it there, you get things fixed.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the one way you can look at that.
Get a checkup.
Yeah, get checked up.
Get a
Preventive
checkup.
maintenance.
Get your oil changed. Get your brake pads replaced.
Absolutely.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, if you want the car to perform well, so to speak, it's got to have some type of regular maintenance. And the more you put off and the engine light starts coming on and the oil light and the windshield wipers and then this and then that, and then you just one day you're on the freeway and it just completely breaks down and you're like, what happened?
Absolutely.
So the checkups are an absolute necessity. I couldn't agree more.
The checkups, the enrichments, and then, after the premarital coaching and going through that, and we've had the privilege of officiating many weddings.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah, renewals. Yeah, that have and even before the renewals. I mean, we can do a checkup with them as well, and officiate their renewals. And it's just been a beautiful thing. We're just blessed to be able to have those privileges. Yeah.
That's a full circle thing.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful to do the premarital coaching and then you marry them and then you check in on them. And, that's so great. I love it. And I also loved what you said about not being ashamed, because I think that's the bottom line is being vulnerable, being open, realizing you can't do it all on your own. And, the more open you become to opening up to the right people who can help you, the more you're going to benefit in the long run, So that's great. Well, guys, thank you so much. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I am so sorry. I just want to throw this last little thing in 30 seconds. We always talk about the people look at so much the romantic side of things. Everything is a thing. So I'm just going to give you a definition that I come up with in my mind. So I can relate. So I believe that a romantic relationship is one where the expression of love in all of a person's words and actions towards each other creates the likelihood or possibility for a desired outcome.
Okay. Wow. We're going to have to put that in the description of the video because I know there's going to be some people that are going to want to see that. That's so good. Thank you, John. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for everything that you shared with us today. I think it's been incredibly insightful and hopefully it inspires people to want to just contact you immediately.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to get their premarital coaching and enrichment if they need it, and also maybe some of your leadership services as well. So if people want to get into contact with you, how can they do that?
They can get in contact with me through francis@francisshepherd.com.
Okay.
We're also on Facebook as well as Instagram.
Perfect. And I will put all of those details, guys, in the description of this video so that everybody can access and get in contact with Francis and John. Yes. And I just want to thank you guys again for your time today, for your wealth of knowledge. Lord knows we could talk for hours about all of this stuff because there's so much to pick your brains on, but I really appreciate your time. Thank you all to everyone who watched our episode today with Just Love Inspires.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. And guys, don't forget, subscribe, click the notification bell, and please, please, please share this video with somebody that you feel may benefit from it. God always puts people on our hearts. So be attentive to that and see where he leads you to share this video today. Thank you again, guys. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
I'm free falling in your love. I'm free falling.